Howdy, howdy, howdy. I guess everything's started up here. All right, let's see. We got Michael Conley over in chat. We got Mr. Purple, Josh. Hey, Joey.
Nice to see you guys again.
Yeah, we got Andy over there, but he's got an air compressor running, so he's muted. And we got Tim, too. The famous wall. Alrighty. Well, here we are in December, and I guess I'll turn the panel mic on so everybody can hear everybody on the panel. Not like they say a whole lot, but
And here comes Ralph.
yeah, here comes Mr. Ralph. How you doing, Ralph?
Let me get my headset working.
Alrighty. Get your bionic ears on. Now say something. All right, well, while Ralph's doing that, we'll get a little homework done here. All right, Saturday, December the 5th. Let me get my microphone down here where everybody can hear me a little better.
Yeah.
All right, Saturday, December the 5th, we've got Railroad Empires, how they build them. We got December the 9th, next Wednesday, will be Big Bill's show. He got some guy on there from, like, up there in Canada, named Ralph.
Oh, not those Canadians again.
I thought we closed the border.
Yeah, our very own Mr. Mudfather.
Yep.
I bet you he'll probably talk about weathering.
Don't know what he's going to talk about. It's going to be all a mystery to me.
Yeah. All right, we got a few more joined in on chat here. Randy's Rock and Roll. How you doing? Dwight? How's everything up there in the cold land? Ken Amos? How you doing tonight? Any of you guys want to come in on the panel, you're welcome to. The link is in the post. Well, Josh is playing with a camera they still hadn't learned after a year.
It's because he keeps changing it.
Yeah.
No, I just finally upgraded after 2 years and Star 6. I'm planning on keeping this for 5 years.
Finally.
You think I spent $8,000? You would think I would keep it for a while.
Gosh. On a camera these days. I mean, on a camera these days, I used to have reasonably expensive cameras too. Not $8,000, obviously, but boy, the cameras on these phones are so good anymore that yes, you can still do better work with the camera. You know, those cameras, no question, they're still better. But the phone is so close.
Yeah.
I know all you and everybody in the chat who's a photographer is you know, formatting their nasty messages to me right now, but they are very, very
They're
good.
not bad, but they're still not as. They're not bad. I would not personally shoot with it.
You never shoot with your iPhone?
No, I really don't. Like
So professional photographers, the guys that make really big money doing it, you know what they say the best camera is?
The one you have in your pocket. I occasionally.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. I occasionally think, but I always take my camera everywhere. I got my 24-70, 7200, 2.8, and I photograph all the stuff. And yeah.
Well, if you're setting up for it, I get it. But boy, it's really nice just having the convenience. And also, you know, honestly, iPhone cameras and Android cameras these days are honestly a lot better than it actually appears by most people shooting. The problem is most people don't know how to get around the nature of them. The key is to use the time lapse, or not the time lapse, the time delay, so that you can set your camera in your tripod, set it to take a picture, and set it for 3 seconds and let that vibration stuff dampen down because they're sensitive to motion. A couple neat little tricks, and you can take some doggone great photography with your phone.
Yeah. There's some great work out there with cell phone. I personally love shooting with my mirrorless camera compared to that. Video work, I actually do a lot of my video work on my phone. Even though I shoot I still shoot some video on the R6. I just don't shoot as much because I want to get my still raw images.
Of course. Yeah, you can't do that yet. They're supposed to have a RAW support on the iPhone next year, probably.
Apple RAW on the iPhone 12. They just announced there is RAW off apps like on the app, like different you can get from the App Store. Like they say it's RAW. Personally, I'm not. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a pretty cool feature that they're coming out with for Apple. The Apple 12 looks interesting.
Yeah.
The beauty is preferences, you know. We all got different choices.
Yeah.
My wife and I professionally will use a T6, T3 Canon, and I have a P610 Nikon that is a straight shooter, what I did most of my photography with and videography with. But when it comes to social media, the good old smartphone, really, is what we use.
Yes, sir.
And I've been looking for it. I just had it here, but I have a little holder that I use for the cell phone, and it mounts right on top of the tripod. And so I use that for a lot of my monthly updates for YouTube as well as wall panning videos. So if it's not with the Samsung camcorder, which I mean compared to the cell phones now, you know, it's
yeah, but most people don't use cell phones right. They move them way too fast. You get jerky
That's
videos.
exactly right.
And when they come in here on this, if they're on a cell phone, the camera's too small.
Joe, here's what you're talking about. Joey?
Yeah, no, not that. I have something else. I just had it and I can't find it. I'll find it.
The hole for a tripod. And this one actually has a hot shoe plate here. It's set up so I can actually mount my phone on top of my camera.
Yeah, I have that same contraption. There's a bunch of those. I use them too. I think it's one of the best things you could do as a model railroader that wants to shoot with your camera phone or your smartphone is to go to Amazon and spend $8 or $10 and buy you a hot shoe supporting mount. I mean, it'll get you, you know, it's a 90-10 rule. You know, it'll get you 90% the way there for 10% the cost. Yes, if you want to go much further, I do agree that there is a value in the really good cameras. But, you know, it's just going to take you 10% further for a lot more money.
This
There's
is
still value in it.
Amazon for like $20-$30.
Yeah.
On the bottom here goes right in tripod. This flips up, put your phone right in there, and you can hold it. And the stabilization is amazing. Just like that.
Well,
yeah.
Well, that's some of the things you get with iPhone, of course, is computational photography, the ability to update directly to Facebook, etc. But you also get image stabilization that's so good these days. And it's came a long way just in the last few generations of, you don't have to be an iPhone specific, you know, Android or whatever you got. You know, it's got so good just in the last few years.
Well, Ari's popped in the chat now.
Ari? Yeah. Come on, Ari.
Can I show you? I know it's not a railroading, but whatever I'm sitting in or what I'm working on right now. That's not my railroading. It's connected to the railroad photography, but what I'm doing.
What are you doing?
Okay. I know it's a laptop thing. I'm gonna turn this around so you can see what direction I'm working. I'm building a photography closet workspace. I got a temporary setup, but we opened this closet up. We're building a floating desk and shelves in here.
Yep.
And everything, and a place to store stuff, and then right in my other closet, this closet down here that was originally for this room, I bought a electric dry cabinet. It's made by Ruggard,
Yep.
R-U-G-G-A-R-D, and it's supposed to
Yeah,
keep
desiccant
your
cabinet.
what, Andy?
Yeah, desiccant cabinet or whatever. Desiccant cabinet, I think they call it. Dry cabinet, desiccant cabinet.
It's
Dry cabinet, yeah.
Yeah. Keep moisture out of lenses and stuff. I got all my lenses in there, 7200, 2470. And plant places, I got a place here. I got hundreds of plugs. I got plugs here for a charging wall. So this will be all battery chargers. Charging all the camera batteries. Laptop place to put my batteries and other stuff. And then I'm doing, to hold my tripods, I'm making railroad spike holders for the tripods.
Railroad spike holders with real spikes, I'm assuming.
Railroad spikes that I've collected over the years from different railroads.
Not bad.
And then I also have my camera bag, so I'm going to hold that. Like you see people using for like clothing and jackets and stuff, but this time it's going to be for tripods. And that's pretty much what I'm working on, other than editing my pictures and stuff, my photography. This is what I'm working on right now.
That's a good idea. Make some coat hangers or something out of railroad spikes. I'm sure my wife would love it if I took a sledgehammer and some railroad spikes to a wall in the house.
They'll be mounted in a board. So all this, my dad has a wood workshop near my where my layout is. So he's got all the planer and different stuff and a bunch of other woodworking tools, and he's going to make the desk and stuff.
Good stuff. Man, no substitute for having a nice place to work, having a good workshop, for sure.
Yep.
Whatever the hobby. So.
Yep.
And when was the last time you worked on your layout?
Yeah, that's a good question.
When I moved some stuff around, but other than that, probably 2 years.
Oh,
2 years, probably 2 years.
that's upsetting. That's so sad.
You disappoint me, Josh.
Because
All
I
of
was
it.
invest my money into the
Disappoint.
for the historic side of railroad. I was already working with the club layout. This year I'm there. The money I do a lot of photo charters. I love photo charters. And then this camera does not come cheap. So the money went there instead of working on the signal system that I was in the middle of. So whenever the money can go into the signal system, or if I switch gauges,
But
and
you
move
could,
out.
but you could always work on your layout at least some point without doing anything. You know, one of the great things about using some natural materials for scenery is
Yeah.
you could go get some dirt, some tree material, and make some. You know, there's always something you can do to progress on the layout, probably. With very little money to invest. Yes, it's
I
I
not,
can just
you know,
see it
that-
now, Andy.
I have hundreds of mountains to do.
I can just see it now.
That cost me.
He'll go get the dirt and he'll just throw it on.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. Stand at the hall. Stand at the doorway, just slinging dirt.
it
What
sounds
was
like
that?
Andy, please.
What was that you showing, Joe?
Oh, this diagram I did for the NMRA gateway. Clinic. This is all natural material on the bottom, right from the front yard. Polyfiber, and I mean, if you want to buy super trees, that could be pretty pricey, but the polyfiber costs about $4 for a big bag, and that could fill up probably 20 by 30 layout in no time, especially for background trees. I would say with the foam here and the real foliage, the real dirt and ash and everything that I use here to make the ground cover, probably with, I don't know, the Loctite adhesive spray and paint, $30. And this will go a long ways more than just this diorama.
Yeah, I've done a couple dioramas lately.
But you can go to a big box store and buy polyfill as to fill a pillow with. You can buy the same stuff, polyfiber. It's going to come white, so yes, you got to paint stuff. But I don't love the green color that the Woody's product comes in anyway. You got to paint it regardless. You can go buy, a pillow fill, a bag bigger than a pillow of polyfiber for $5 and go to town on puff balls. If that's the way you're going to go about it.
Yeah, but Wicked Insanity,
Micromark makes it in black.
Yeah, but Wicked Insanity had a good suggestion for Josh. He said just go out in the living room and grab a pillow off the sofa and rip it open and use that.
Man,
I think my mom would kill me, but
I think he's about for sure trying to get you in trouble. That seems obvious, but
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Actually, what he said was just unstuff a pillow. I added Josh's name to that.
Okay, good. Yeah.
These guys know that when I first started, I was living in a 700 square foot apartment in Nashville, living on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and the only way to afford anything for my layout was learn how to use natural materials. And literally that's what I did. And that's how I learned all these little tricks from using stuff just right in the woods or right on the side of a road or near a railroad track or something. So you don't have to spend much money on scenery work anymore.
That's what
the club I was involved with, all the scenery on all the grass was at least in the O-gate section. The HO, yeah, we did it on the HO too. We used sawdust.
Yeah. Sawdust. Heck, even it's over here.
And my old HO layout that I had up here, actually right where the closet is now, did the same thing.
Sawdust makes good leaf material.
But yes, you can get away with some cheapness, but there is some of that. But dirt, which makes one of the best mediums there are, ground up actual leaves makes one of the best forest floors. Sticks and that kind of stuff to make your forest floor material. So natural material to make trees. You can do all of that stuff for free or the cost of a $5 coffee grinder at Walmart to help you process it, period. All in, and some white glue or people out there what they want to use. But static grass, you could buy a big old bag of white or uncolored static grass material from the automotive interior customizers. You could buy, again, a bag the size of a pillowcase for $25. So there's no necessity necessarily to even use sawdust. With static grass can be bought enough to cover an entire layout for $20, and you just stain it with an airbrush. So you can do as good a scenery as people are doing today on a budget with a little forethought.
And also when you said Walmart, I get a discount because I work for them too.
There you go. Hey, most of my paints that I use are the 50-cent paints from Walmart.
Yep.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore. I know, not anymore. When they last like 3 years. Most of these paints here are probably like $3-4. But the big bottles, they're lasting me about 2-3 years now. What I was talking about, here you go. This is a perfect example. This is right from the Chattanooga subdivision on the CSX main line. This is the coarse rock. That's what after like 3 layouts later. That's the coarse stuff. Then you got the fine stuff that's here. I can't really see it, but that's in there. The medium stuff.
Or grout,
right here.
and leveling sand.
Here's blended leaves. I have a whole bag ready to go for the next layout. $5 on Amazon. Big thing of glue, $5, free shipping if you have Prime. sawdust right here, and I diluted the green or brown paint and sprinkled it on. That's what it looks like dirt over there on that diorama.
I just could not get excited about sawdust. Yes, I used to use it, but I don't know if you're going to go to the trouble of sawdust, say for grass, also that you could save maybe $20 to cover a whole layout of static grass. Static grass everybody thinks it's so expensive, and it's incredibly cheap to do static grass. It's literally a $1.99 static grass or a bug zapper machine, and a $1.99 tea strainer, and a $25 sack of static grass or a $10 much smaller bag. Yes, you need to color it yourself, but it's not. Static grass even is a very inexpensive modeling medium.
Also, here, Josh. So if you're carving foam or you're cutting, you could chop it up.
Yeah.
Take all the shavings, and you don't have to paint an individual one. You put them in a bag with paint, dilute with water, do a few coats, and you can have rocks. And it's very light. You don't have to worry about anything heavy on the layout either. If you want to make boulders out of it.
And a question earlier on the other chat was, are you modeling any portion of the Southern?
Yes. Well, I mean, so I'm modeling Old Norfolk and Western Line. Yes, in the now Norfolk Southern period, I'm modeling about the end of my line where I stop is about 10 miles or 5 miles or so from the yard where the L&N would meet, and then the Southern is a couple miles away. So no, it's not actual Southern trackage, but it's immediately adjacent to it. And the moment that I can grow or relocate my layout into a larger space, let alone a basement of a new house, if the economy lets me do that in a few years. But even if I just move it to an exterior, 16 by 40 portable building out back, one of the expansions will be to expand into that yard in Norton, Virginia, and then into Appalachia where it meets with the Southern. So, but I'm not actually modeling Southern trackage. But the big key for why I moved to 1987 kind of specifically is that I already have a Southern Tuxedo high hood SD40 is because in the late 80s, you see all these different consists. So you see the Norfolk Southern, brand new Norfolk Southern C39. You'd have a Southern locomotive and a couple NW locomotives, maybe a couple NW pushers, and then on the CSX, you'd have 10 different railroads of B&O and C&O and Chessie and L&D and all mixed together.
The reason why I asked that is because when we were talking about modeling the Norfolk Western steam program, I was wondering if you were able to model the Southern steam program.
Well, so they're the same steam program because I'm modeling the Norfolk Southern after the merger. So I'm modeling it's one system. That's what lets the joy of modeling right after immediately after the merger. That lets me run the 4501 and the J and the 1218. And like I said, I could even run them in a triple header position. I could run all three of those steam locomotives, which is not at all prototypical in revenue service, but for the steam program, they did all kinds of weird stuff. So.
Alrighty, I got a few comments here. Part of it is, I'm still getting a bad echo, I guess, through my microphone on OBS. Hadn't figured out how to get that to stop, but so I have to try and remember to mute my mic so everybody else on the panel won't be echoing. Let's see. Dwight says he sees the end of my line coming, Andy, but the time schedule is the question. Bunch of smileys, LOL. Hey, Samurai, he popped in just a few minutes ago.
Johnny's time coming. I can't imagine what he would be talking about. Nobody wanted to do this without Johnny.
No, he said, I see the end of my line coming.
Oh, I see what he's talking about. Oh, come on, Dwight.
But,
And he says, you sound fine, Johnny.
Yeah.
I don't hear
They're getting
that.
some echo off of Andy because it's in that big open space.
No, they're getting the echo off of me because my mic's peaking every time the panel mic opens up, so I have to mute my mic and then the echo stops. But I have that problem with other shows too. Mystic Southern Railroad, how you doing? He just popped in. Oh, Samurai's here too. How you doing?
Andy, if you're going to nail, you might
Yeah, I
want to mute.
meant to just get one in there, but if it's going to be, if it's that surprisingly loud.
Oh, it wasn't real bad.
Does anybody know the author Barton Jennings?
No.
No.
He wrote
No.
dozens of books. Let me see if I can pull up the photo. I made a little collage while looking for it. He used to work with the Arkansas Missouri Railroad, and then I think he worked for a few other railroads as well. Does signal maintaining. He's a transportation instructor, safety instructor. I think he worked at Operations Lightsaber. Does a lot of transportation. He's a professor for supply chain management as well. Also an author for numerous history books, including railroading. He's in the November Railfan Railroad, the Sugar Beets article. He did that one. Let me see here if I could get the photo.
You know, you can talk to Robert about that one.
Yeah, well, the reason I'm mentioning him is he's making a second edition of the Arkansas Missouri Railroad, and he's doing a lot more. He's doing a lot more books on the northwest region, as well as I think the northern region of Arkansas. And if I could just find my photo, it'd be so much easier to explain it. Unless I moved it. Anyway, I interviewed him for. Here it is.
It's behind your left ear.
I'm sorry?
It's behind your left ear.
Oh,
When you were moving it, you stuck it there.
Right where you left it.
I have to go to screen share. I don't know. Application window. Oh, here we go.
Went over his head, John.
Oh, okay. I was trying to look some of the books he made. Everett Railroad, Iowa Interstate Alaska Railroad, Tennessee Central, Missouri Northern Arkansas Railroad. I interviewed him for the Arkansas Missouri Railroad for their Facebook, but I'm also going to be premiering it on my YouTube channel. So if anybody wants to check that out, not that I'm advertising myself, but that guy is amazing, and the knowledge he has of history and the books are incredible. The history books are just amazing. So if anybody needs any history for the prototype that they're modeling, I guarantee you can find it in one of his books or articles. That you can find his books all over Amazon and just even local places. I'm sure have it too. I know I saw a bunch of them on Amazon and like Books A Million and stuff like that.
And the Tennessee Central is a spectacularly interesting railroad that used to originally run right behind where our clubhouse was in Tennessee for the layout. I was a member of a club I was a member of years ago. It's a great railroad. It's now run by a Finnish company, I think, and they have these really cool painted white locomotives with a weird brand. But it's a spectacularly interesting 15 or 20 miles of branch line, and the last, say, 6 miles of it has like 7 wood trestles to this day. It's a super interesting railroad with an aggregate facility at the end of it. That a little shelf layout with just the aggregate plant would be in Crab Orchard, Tennessee, would be super interesting. And you could easily wrap around one wall, put a bunch of little wood trestles in there, and have something that's a prototype-ish or something. So if a person could look up his content or see your interview with him and talk something about that Tennessee Central Railroad, it's one of those great railroads that's super conducive to modeling, kind of like the Interstate Railroad. It's another one that was a Class 1 railroad with only 40 miles of trackage or something. So, it's approachable as a prototype railroad versus trying to model the BNSF as Transcon is, slightly more daunting.
Yeah. One of my good friends, he's a volunteer down there at the Tennessee Central Museum in Nashville, and they have a switcher engine that they're refurbishing and renovating at this time, and I think they're working on the gadgets. They finally got it running, and they're going to be repainted to the Tennessee Central scheme.
That's awesome. Yeah. Been gone for a while. It's just, again, I gotta say, it's just one of those railroads that's approachable to model, and that's something that I think people are so scared of prototype because a lot of times it's not very approachable. But if you go after, even building a fictitious railroad, I think one of the best things you could do is go after something that's approachable, that that you could build with, that's built in a reasonable sized room. We all dream of these basement filling empires, but like we were talking about with budgets, they're expensive and time consuming and, and a whole lot of things, but it'd be better, I think, to build something that's more accomplishable.
It would be approachable, like the mining stuff would be approachable railroad for somebody.
Yeah.
Just suggestion for anybody listening.
And the Tennessee Central is also great for beginners who want to learn how to custom paint or decal, because it's just like NS, it's black and white. There's white pinstripe and it's black body locomotive. So it's a good railroad for beginners to really learn how to decal and custom paint, weather, and scenery based too, because there's like you said, a lot of creeks, a lot of wooden trestles, so they can get their hands on scratch building these trestles or kit bashing. It's really nice. Really nice.
And it's just super beautiful, weird tunnels, and it's just a very scenic railroad that you could do some justice to, but it's also interesting, different freight, interesting trades, interesting scenery, very interesting to operate and operational that would be somewhat realistic, and it interchanges with the Norfolk Southern, right at the end of its line, so you could still have SD80s and stuff, if you wanted to. Nearby.
Right. I think politically they fought with that Louisville and Nashville all the way through to the end, to hold on to the trackage, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but back in the day, originally it went to Nashville, but there's an old kind of urban legend about that the L&N did not want any other railroad in their namesake town, so they bought out a section of that line, swearing that they would lease it back to them or something, but who knows? But they bought out the line, and then they dynamited it off the side of the mountain in such a way that nobody could ever put a railroad back in that place in order to make sure that the Louisville-Nashville Railroad was the only major railroad in the city of Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's an urban legend. I don't know.
Andy, do yourself a favor. Put a block of wood underneath that joint.
Yes, and I actually tried to, but everything's moving around so much on me. Yeah, I got blocks.
That's because you're not using clamps. And the side panel we discussed, you put it on after you get those things together.
Yeah, I don't know how am I going to mount them together without putting side panels on? Yeah, I don't know how you're going to make this butt.
Glue them together on a flat surface. Surface. Yeah. That's why I suggested the biscuit joints.
I know. That's what I was getting ready to say, is if I should actually go buy a biscuit joint, or I want one, but in the absence of the biscuit joints, the only way this thing is actually strong, because it's just half-inch MDF, there's nothing strong about it, and it's lightweight, the only reason it's strong is because it's the MDF and masonite, quarter-inch masonite on both sides. I'm making an H, and it hangs down below on both sides. So I'm making an H beam that
No,
gets
I
strong after it's
understand
put
that.
together. But individually, it's floppy. I know you do.
But all you're
I'm fine.
talking and you're wasting
Well,
time
yeah,
and your
but
glue's
it
drying
won't dry
on
very
you.
quickly. This stuff it's wood glue. It takes 8 hours.
Oh, okay. You're using Gorilla Glue. It'll set in 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes, and it
Yeah.
cures in 24.
24 minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's heavy duty
24
stuff.
hours is a final cure.
Huh. I'm used to wood glue taking a pretty good long time, so.
Just put a block of wood underneath.
Yeah, I got
It'll keep
blocks
the
laying
two
here.
pieces flat while you glue the side on.
Yeah, that's what I've got. I had blocks under here, but everything moves around so much on me, even with the clamps. It's just I'm the springiness of this stuff, because I'm not using 1/8 inch masonite like most people use for backdrops. I'm using 1/4 inch because I want more structural strength. But doggone, this 1/4 inch stuff is a lot springier than the 1/8 inch stuff, and I need some help, basically. So if anybody wants to hop in the car and head this way, it'd be greatly appreciated. But
Annie and I will love to come to Kentucky. Trust me. She went to school.
oh
in Kentucky.
yeah, well
She misses Kentucky. She loves Kentucky.
well you've been here before, and you're always welcome again. Actually, I look forward to and hope that when I get the layout operating late next year or something, that I can coax you into coming up to operate with us. So
Yeah, she will love to come out and sightsee.
We get the club
and meet you again. We'll meet you in person officially.
absolutely, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Tim, tell him what we're working on.
We get the club up and running, and hopefully he'll come visit it.
Yeah. I plan on doing some
Me
traveling.
and Andy are starting. Joey, me and Andy are actually going to start a club there in Beaver Dam.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
I got some space
Yep.
here. Tim's already been by to visit, so we're going to build a model railroading live is now going to have a physical model railroad of some of its members getting together due to model railroading live. We got together and we're going to, start building it's a little thing, it's 30 by 50 feet. So, but
Hey, I got a 2 by 4 foot, 1 by 4 foot shelf here. That's my layout at the moment. So,
well, everybody dreams of these huge empires, but I tell you, I could have always built my railroad
and he
upstairs
calls-
in the space I have here.
so my point is, I don't care what size it is. To chill with you guys in person again would be so much fun.
The next thing you know, Andy will have every railroad spike detailed, and it's like 3 levels, 4 levels out of styrofoam in that room.
No. Well, no, because Tim is there.
Well, our club,
Keep him in line.
the layout we're talking about. The layout we're talking about for the club will be like
Yes,
4
sir.
levels, 3 to 4
Nice.
levels.
It'll be in a fairly large space, and I could have always built my railroad in this space. But but people underestimate this one thing is the amount of labor, and I didn't have help. So in the absence of having help, my 15 by 15 room, plus some overflow staging, so it's a little bigger, but my 15 by 15 room is already a massively daunting project, because when I started 5 years ago, I was sure I would have trains running in 2 years, and I'm 5 years later, so building a railroad is a big commitment. It's
Well, you
easy to
did
let
at
your
one- you
eyes,
did at one
especially for
point.
me, to let your kind of eyes get bigger than your stomach kind of effect, and overshoot in complexity, scope, size, blah blah blah, and end up with a decades long project to get trains running. So, but if Tim and those guys up in Evansville come down and start working on it, we could actually build this big railroad that I could have never built by myself.
No. And when it comes to your personal layout, Andy, if a lot of folks don't know Andy's layout, Andy's very, very particular in detail and those things be to scale. But he also went through a transition stage from steam. He want to go back to diesel. So your time interval of accomplishing what you want to accomplish, has been delayed a little bit because you did transition. But I from now,
Yeah.
ever since I first met you, you seem a lot more happier. So
Well, it's
like,
more
you feel more
again the
confident
diesels.
in that too, and what your decision making.
Well, but again, the diesels are it's kind of another one of the same thing. It's more accomplishable. What I was doing was so challenging to make steam locomotives run well.
Yeah.
People underestimate.
Mhm.
If you got the help to put it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was trying to do that, and I did very briefly have trades running. The problem with truly building point-to-point layouts or operational layouts is it's very hard to get them temporarily running until you have enough in place. So, and I'm so close to having enough in place now that due to some creative, kind of razzing by Ralph, I've got over my analysis paralysis and went ahead and moved on with my crazy hanging from the Scylla Peninsula. And I have that up. So I could conceivably be to a place where there's enough railroad for the point-to-point operation in a number of months, not a number of decades like I was thinking.
Exactly.
So my job is almost done.
And then you're gonna go away like a Jedi, just
No,
or Mary Poppins to the next mile railroader.
and Andy, what do they call him? The Padawan.
Oh, we'll still have work for Ralph to do when we start this club, because we plan on getting some of his input on some of the stuff too.
We just have to get Ralph to move to the States.
Yeah, fat chance on
You'll
that
never
one.
get that. I know. It's a pipe dream.
He could come
Not
run
in
a
a
place
million
up
years.
here, and he could weather all my equipment.
Hey, you could travel.
You could do it too if you didn't spend your time, spend your money on photographic equipment.
Anyway, I'd rather donate the money to the Historic Society. That enough for photography equipment, yeah.
And hey,
And it's where I love.
Josh, we'll be close enough, man. It's a day drive. It's only half a day drive for you down to the Andes.
Me too. It's probably what, 6.5, 7?
Yeah.
I'm going to TVRM next year, supposedly. So yeah, might stop by.
You may stop by.
You never know.
So we're hoping to have something going by next year, sometime or another.
Awesome.
We're gonna start building some modules as soon as we get a chance and start hanging them on the walls.
And because we've got,
we got to relocate some walls.
well, and because we've got work to do to get the layout into the room and the space, I think, and what we had talked about and what our plan is, and one of the beauties of building a quote unquote Toma style layout is we're just going to come here in in my workshop here and start building some modules and just build them along that wall for now, 6 foot long modules. And I hope we can start that, say, right after Christmas or right after the New Year, and get some modules in place. And then as soon as we're ready to move them upstairs and have enough of them, We just move them upstairs. And with the style of layout, we could take two 1x12 shelf boards or 1x10 shelf boards, put 4 or 5 tracks on each, and a yard ladder on each one, and stick them on the ends of our modules, run trains, and enjoy it. And as we add modules, just slide the shelf board down, put a little framing under it, stick a couple folding legs with some wheels under it, like what Tom is doing. Speaking of that, Tom has these great legs with wheels, folding legs and stuff, and I'm going to have Tom and me are going to shoot a video to share with the MRL guys at some point in the near future with those legs and wheels and stuff he's got for building his small layout wheels. That's just, they're sweet, man. They're really sweet. So we're going to do the same thing for the staging, start building modules on French cleats, and then we could just roll the staging down as we add modules. And as soon as we get enough modules to have meaningful progress, we move them upstairs and start permanently assembling a layout. But I think we could get somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 feet of layout here with staging on each side and enjoy it before we go to all the trouble of getting a final design for the multi-level layout.
What modules design will they be?
They're going to be what Joe Fugate has recently, I think, again, this is my opinion, and of course we're building this together, so it's going to be everybody's input, but I think our plan is to build the C bracket style. So you build these C brackets out of plywood, and then your C bracket has your layout on the bottom, your backdrop on it, your lighting support and above, and your valets, all in a single arrangement. And then you build the top fairly thin. So then you just set another module right on top of that, and you can have a multi-level layout that way. But we're going to do a raised floor because in the center section, we're going to do like a mushroom style. So we're going to take one C module facing this way, another C module on top facing this way, with a raised floor in the middle, and the 30 by 50 layout, we have enough space. There's some area in the attic nearby where we're just going to push the helix right back into there, so it doesn't even take up the layout room, and that lets us build a super large helix, like a 4-foot radius, 8 foot across, both helix to go up through the levels because it doesn't impinge on the layout space.
Nice.
Okay. What scale is this? It's HO, I'm guessing.
No, TT.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, it's gonna be
HO scale. Yes, I'm sorry.
I was like,
Good God, Andy! Could you imagine if we went
We did
in there?
No,
half the United States.
the scale is definitely number 3 scale or number 1 scale, whatever it is. So 122.5, but with 4 foot 8.5 inches, so not G gauge, the wider track. So, and we will, that'll be enough that we could maybe put a single circle of track in the 30 by 50 space and run a 5-car trade. So, HO scale, because if you're going to build a club, you've got to it's got to support enough people. That's kind of the concession and consideration about prototype versus not, is that we're talking about, and we're not sure, but about modeling the old C&O and TP line that's Norfolk Southern at the places like in Oneida, and as it crosses from Kentucky into Tennessee up through there, because there's the CSX, there's the Oneida and Western Branch line. It's where the 4501 spent a bunch of its life in actual live service before it was sold to Excursion. It's a great line and allows a lot of different people who may come to operate, a lot of diversity. And we don't have to be like sticklers for the prototype, but still have a prototype that is an inspiration.
Excellent.
So call it prototype inspired, not prototype.
And then we're also talking about running like possibly doing like a maker's fair down in the area he's in right now. And be able to like bring in people from the community and teach them how to do some of this stuff, and have Andy's 3D printer set up and stuff like that to where we can teach people how to 3D print and design some stuff and everything else.
Exactly, because I've got a CNC machine. I've got that I'm going to grow the size of. I got a 3D printer, and I probably need several of those for a makerspace. I'm buying a laser cutter. I just haven't got that yet, but I've got a arrangement where I've worked together with somebody else to go in on a laser cutter with me, so it'll be set up here. And I have a little paint booth back there already set up, and it's just a little paint booth. It's a 16 by 16 foot paint room. So what a great space to have people who want to do any type of making, and the chance that some of those makers may get interested in model railroading is there. You know, I just would love to encourage more makers anyway. But I think model railroading is such a great hobby for this maker movement, but people are not getting introduced to our hobby.
Right. Well, if you need a videographer and someone to help you with social media to promote, you know who to call.
All right. Well, I'll call you as
Josh.
soon as we're off here. So,
I
Josh,
would say the same thing, but I live pretty far away.
we need,
Right
you
here.
know, yes, we want to
Well,
encourage
you're
it
what?
because
You're,
this
you're
is
up in Cincinnati, right?
What?
Hey.
You asked
Josh, you're in Cincinnati, right?
No, Cleveland. Or right by Cleveland, Youngstown.
Yeah. Cleveland.
Yeah, between Cleveland and Youngstown. I'm on the lead.
so. This is a weird experiment. I'm a tech company right here that we have people who want to build computers and stuff, and we're involved in that. But I've got this big maker space here with garage bays over there. I've got 6 garage bays over there where people could have big projects like that. That's not even this space, but the space I'm in right here is a 5,000 square foot workshop plus the 3,000 square foot garage space plus the 3,000 square foot railroad room that if we could get people interested in making, and it's a natural extension of Model Railroading Live. So we've got the social media experience there. Again, of course, I'd love to have help from anybody who wants to help us, even remotely help make this become a reality, but not help us, get involved in making it happen, because we're going to do remote operating sessions and stuff from the beginning, from the design. My Railroad 2 is designed for that. And I had thought for a while I would stop building my railroad or relocate it up here, but I'm going to just keep working on my Railroad 2, you know?
What about
I'm
adding
far enough
coffee to that?
Pardon me?
I said it was kind of a joke, but also, what about adding coffee shop to that?
Oh, I'm well equipped. I have a bar at the upstairs at the office over there. We have a coffee machine and a espresso maker. I'm a coffee fan. So in the office, we have a kitchenette that has a raised bar section that has latte makers and all that stuff. So I don't go far from good coffee or chocolate milk.
Oh, that's good. Andy
all
will,
right. Well, I got
It's an 8-hour drive, Josh.
Yeah, I've got a couple comments here. Samurai, with all I've seen people do with 3D printers and model railroading, I've been tempted to get one. Adrian said,
Yes, sir, you should.
don't outthink yourselves on building the framework. Keep it kind of simple and durable. And let's see, Dwight, Josh has taken any photography classes.
That's
It
what
would
I've been
help a
telling them
lot.
all along.
So speaking of 3D printing, I 3D printed this railroad spike and I weathered it. It looks pretty good, huh?
Not bad.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
And the weathering job's spectacular. It's just amazing how I know I'm messing. It's just amazing how heavy it is for 3D printed.
But you really could probably 3D print this and
How heavy that resin gets when you get that thick.
And to the gentleman who was talking about the simplicity versus whatever of benchmark design, I don't disagree with that. I think a lot of people should, but one argument in favor of some of the weird stuff that I do is how, if you want to get a tremendous amount of uniquely built railroad, a lot of density of railroad in a space. Yes, my layout framework is super crazy complicated with aluminum and it's hanging from the ceiling and it's just crazy. But show me somebody else who has a 15 by 15 foot layout with a 280 foot visible main line. It's with all linear, directionally pure. When you're looking at it, it's always, west is always to your left, east is always to your right. The trains never circle back through it. It's not a spaghetti mold. None of that stuff. It's at eye level. It's super prototypical, super realistic in every way, and 280 feet of linear, realistic point-to-point main line in a 15 by 15 space. That requires complexity. It just does.
Yes.
So,
Adrian, I've got like 6 air mattresses. My dad was buying them on clearance at Walmart for a while, so I'm stocked up on air mattresses.
Air mattresses.
Yeah, he said plenty of air mattresses so people can crash and then get back to work.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, so when we have people, the hope is we have people come down to operate with us. Cold in here. Have people come down to operate with us. We should have enough capability that everybody can come and crash here. So what Ken does, Ken Anderson does, they have these opt till you drop, like as close to literally opt till you drops as I know of, and they have like 50, 60, 80 people travel from numerous states down to the North Carolina area and South Carolina area, and they set up these 17, 18, 19,000 square foot modular layouts with 250 or 300, 400 modules, and they have everybody come down and operate for 4 days straight, and just setting up air mattresses and crashing and operating. It's as intense like camping as I don't know anybody who model railroads at that level of intensity.
What's good about your club is you can invite the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts and churches and community events and
Mm-hmm.
get everybody.
Well,
because the Boy Scouts do have their model railroading badge.
Yep.
That they can work towards.
And we're building a crew lounge from the get-go. It's the first thing we're doing is getting basically is building these modules. Then we're getting the little crew lounge set up right at the top of the stairs as you go into the layout room, so that the wives and kids can be involved. We're not looking for a hobby that excludes us from our family's participation. And we're even planning so that the layout butts right up against the crew lounge at a high level so that we can build a small layout lower below the layout that can be seen from the crew lounge side so that the kids have something at their level to look in on and see. So one of the great things about our hobby is that it's not a typical or the way a lot of men's hobbies do that naturally exclude their families and kids. It's very easy to integrate and, so our families can get together and be social.
Yeah, and you have a clinician that comes out and teach children or groups of teenagers, like maybe a group of troubled teenagers, that was a trip for those and special needs or nursing home,
Sure.
And you come out and now you're making a big community event. You could, Scott's lit a clothes drives, food drives, and all that.
And we're right here, big parking lot right here on the main drag through town, my office, and we're well known in the local community. Vocational school is a quarter mile from here with the welding and carpentry programs and stuff that I already do mentorship with already. Again, more connectivity and community, but the goal is to do this on the internet as well because we're integrated with MRL in meaningful ways as well.
All right, I tell you what, also got to hey Joe, you can't forget about the funeral home across the street. So when those people get tired of sitting, they come across over at y'all's place and get entertained too. So anyway, well, let y'all know we got about a minute left. So if anybody's got any closing statements,
well, I was gonna go through these pictures real quick, Johnny. That's wrong screen. Since we're talking about this, this is the space that we're gonna have. Well, it's a load. So there's Andy's paint booth area. We're going to take down these walls that are in there. They're not supporting walls or anything. So we can take the walls down, move them around where we need them.
Big windows too. That's great.
So there's the stairs up. They're nice and wide, fairly gradual stairs. Let's see here. So here's basically the whole space that we've got, and all these walls can come down easily. And we're talking about raising the rafters So we can actually do that step up section. So, and that's part of the space that Andy's working in right now, or just off the section that Andy's working on in right now. So, and back in here is where we're talking about putting the helix.
Nice.
Andy talking about doing a helix.
So we went. Yep. So we went out. I went down there here. Well, probably about a week and a half ago, Andy. I was down, and we took a quick tour of it. So, see you, Ralph.
Oh, I gotta leave you boys. We'll catch.
All right. Well, with that said, I guess we'll go ahead and shut her down. Y'all have a good weekend. Don't forget Saturday, December the 5th at 9 o'clock Eastern time. It's going to be the Railroad Empire show. How we build, or how they build them. And next Wednesday we got Big Bill. Who's Big Bill talking to? He's going to have Ralph the Mudfather on. So you know that's going to be a good one. All right, so y'all have a good weekend. Stay safe. We shall catch y'all later.
Thank you, Johnny.